All right, but then, as we look at Daniel 6, we run into the name Darius, or sometimes it's pronounced Darius. You can take your pick, because is there anyone living today who was back there in 2,400 years ago or 2,500 years ago who knows how they pronounce those names? And people puzzle about Darius. Now, in actuality, Darius and Cyrus are one and the same. At least this Darius was. We're going to look at another Darius in a moment, just to kind of mix up the story a little bit. But let's see if we can't at least pick up a little history. Fact is, you can pick up a lot of commentaries, and they look at Darius and this Darius, and they say, well, he was so and so or so and so. He was not really a king. He was a general of Cyrus or whatever. But the fact is that Darius was actually the same man as Cyrus. In the year 539 BC, 539 BC, when Daniel would have been close to, if not equal to, 80 years of age. Because you must remember that from 603 BC, which was the second year of Nebuchadnezzar, until 539 BC, that alone is 64 years. 64 years. And if at that time Daniel was 15 or 17 years of age or something of that nature, by now he would be 80 years of age. He could have been 85 at this time. He was an elderly man. And in those days, to attain the age of 80 made you a very old man. A very old man. But this is the situation in which Daniel 6 is going to open up. Now notice in verse 30 of Daniel 5. Let's talk about Darius for a moment or two. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. Now Belshazzar was the king of the Babylonians. He remember the Medes and the Persians came in through the Euphrates River that ran through the city. They diverted the water, and they went through and came into the city and killed Belshazzar and conquered Babylon. That was in the year 539 BC. We can be very certain of that. And we read here that Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old, 62 years of age. I don't know why God told us he was 62 years of age, except that it fits exactly this Darius, because he had been king of the Medes and the Persians for, let me see, I have a little note here, someplace back here. And I didn't get this from the Bible. This is when we compare all the secular evidence and integrate it all into this, we find that Darius, who is also called Cyrus, he became king in 559 BC, and he reigned for 30 years, and in the 20th year of his reign, he conquered Babylon. That was in the year 539 BC. Now here we see in Daniel 6 that he is called Darius the Mede. Now if you go back to Daniel 4, we have a little bit more. Is it Daniel 4? No, Daniel 6, the last verse. So this is Daniel 6, verse 28. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Now that looks like there were two different kings. Actually, the way that should have been translated, and the Hebrew absolutely permits this, so this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, even in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Now notice that he is called Darius the Mede and Cyrus the Persian, because the kingdom was the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. And so when he is referred to as the king of the Persians, he's referred to as Cyrus. When he's referred to the king of the Medes, he's referred to as Darius. Now we can know that definitely Darius was king, because if you go back to Daniel 9, verse 1, it's still talking about the time when Daniel was living there. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, or of the Babylonians. So it definitely says that Darius was the king. These commentators, they read the secular books and they can't find clear evidence that Darius and Cyrus were the same, and so they question the authority of the Bible. But the Bible is very clear that he was king as Darius. He was king of Babylon, and he was also the king as Cyrus, as we read in, if we go back now to 2 Chronicles for a minute. We'll just spend a little bit of time on this, and then I'll sum it up and get back into our lesson. But in 2 Chronicles chapter 36, we read in verse 22. Verse 22. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation through all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath the Lord God of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him an house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And so under Cyrus the king, the first, and you read about this in the book of Ezra, that immediately follows, we read that he made, in verse 1, he made proclamation throughout all his kingdom that the Jews were to return to Israel and rebuild the kingdom. And we're not going to investigate Cyrus a whole lot further, except that he is a great type of Christ, and he had already been prophesied in the book of Isaiah that he would build the city of Jerusalem. But this is Cyrus, who is king of the Persians. He's Darius, king of the Medes. Same man. Now later on there was another Darius. If you go down to Ezra 4, and I'll just mix it up a little bit, and then we'll get back to it. When Ezra got there, we read that in verse 3 of Ezra 4, but Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, hath commanded us. And then this went on, and in verse 5, they hired counselors against them, that is, the inhabitants of the land tried to stop the building of the temple, to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. And in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation, and in the day of Artaxerxes wrote Bishlam, so on and so on and so on. And we're not going to go into the book of Ezra, but just to sum this up, this is the situation. In the year 539 BC, which was the 20th year of Cyrus, king of Persia, also called king of the Medes, and there he took the name Darius, which incidentally is the name in the Persian history that was somewhat similar to the word Pharaoh in Egypt, in Egyptian history. Pharaoh Necho or Pharaoh Thutmosis or so on. Well, this was Darius, which was in some ways a similar name. Like instead of saying king, he was called Darius, although it may also just have been a name. The archaeologists can't really decide that. But Cyrus, who is Darius, he in the 20th year, conquered Babylon, and in the year 539, he lived another 10 years. He was followed by another man by the name of Cambyses, who is called, in Ezra chapter 4, he is called Ahasuerus. No, he is called, yes, he is called Ahasuerus, and Ahasuerus reigned for 7 years, and then he was followed by the man by the name of Smerdis, who is also called Artaxerxes in the Bible, who reigned 1 year. And then in the year 521, or 8 years after Cyrus died, we have Darius that is spoken of in Ezra chapter 4. This is another Darius, and he reigned for about 36 years or so. He reigned a long time.